out on the 24th of July, as promised, and it was certified receipt by the lawyer concerned, the lawyer for the developer Prescott and Matthew, and they replied to the state on the 27th of July, objecting to our letter, stating that they have no consent from the state to conduct any demolition. So that's number one. So for any news reports that says that we did not follow through on this, that is of course, again, another lie, which is very common nowadays. As far as Kampung Buah Pala is issued. So this is all in black and white. So I hope the residents can see very clearly that we issued the notice, both from the MBVP and also the land office. On the 24th of July, they received it and they replied on the 27th of July, protesting against our notice that they cannot proceed with the demolition because they did not get the consent of the state. Of course, they say that this would not apply since they have a federal court order. And again, that is where our problem lies, because only a federal court can revoke the order issued by the federal court. So that's one. Number two, yesterday it was said that we did not give any instructions to revoke the development order. Now, I'm using my powers under Section 25 of the Town and Country Planning Act. Of course, I have to call for a State Planning Committee meeting, or SPC. So the state has powers. And as the chair of the State Planning Committee meeting, I have the power to revoke such orders. What I've done, because we have not had the State Planning Committee meeting, is that we have given notice. Normally you must give notice of what you do lah. I think that is basic understanding. We give notice, and then because we give notice, the developers are also very unhappy. We give notice that we plan to revoke planning permission and approval of building plans. What was stated by Puan Maimuna yesterday was not correctly reported. It does not come from the NPBP. It comes from the State Planning Committee. And I think they even put down there the State Planning Department. The State Planning Department of NPBP has no powers to revoke any building plans or planning permission. So I think what she said was not correctly reported. In fact, I already informed verbally both the Secretary as well as the YDP that this project will be put on hold. And until we have our State Planning Committee, we intend to implement this. Of course, before that, we hope to have some sort of settlement. But failing which, when we decide, at least we have done the necessary notification to the developer who has actually protested strongly against our intention to revoke planning permission as well as building plans using the state's powers under Section 25 of the Town and Country Planning Act. But I want to state here again that this doesn't make any difference to the federal court order that allows the developer, if he so wishes, to go ahead and evict as well as force the residents out. I think we've got to be very clear here. This only means that when the developer proceeds with their plans, in which they demolish and evict the residents, they cannot construct any building on it, so it will be an empty wasteland. So what we want to impress upon them is that let us come and talk and see how we can come to some sort of settlement that is acceptable to both sides. I wish to repeat this again, whether we agree with it or not, or whether we like it or not, much as we sympathize with the residents, much as we feel that the residents have been robbed of their land, the point is that the federal court has made a decision that the landowner is koperasi, and that is something that we have to accept. And the High Court had actually allowed the residents in the initial period, who gave a ruling in favor of the residents in the initial period, has also come up with a decision, or with an observation that there's no fraud. Now, clearly the judge said that because the EXCO actually approved the alienation of land to koperasi. So, you know, the government can, in that sense, by approval from the EXCO or from the cabinet, they can legalize something that is wrong. Now, I always like to refer to my favorite case that, you know, when you talk about the purchase of Mars shares many years ago, the market price was 391 or was 391 Mars shares, and yet the government purchased the shares for 8 ringgit. Even though the price at the market was only 391, and yet the government purchased for 8 ringgit. There's nothing you can do about it. Even though you say that obviously there's fraud, why don't buy cheaper at the market price and instead you buy it at a higher price? But how can you question that fraud when that fraud is legalized by cabinet? Same thing also, this fraud is legalized by EXCO. I think that is why the High Court made a decision, and I think unfortunately that is a position when you don't have a people's government. Of course, the new government doesn't do that. The new government hopes we can find a way out, bearing in mind the federal court order is clear that the land now belongs to the koperasi. Whether we agree with it or not, or whether we like it or not, I think this is something that we have to accept. And now we want to see how we can move from that to ensure that at least the residents are also taken into account. Okay?